I have distinct memories of the first time I tried drinking coffee. I was about 11 or 12 years old, sitting in a friend's kitchen at her birthday party. And there was just a few of us sitting around the table, and someone suggested that we drink coffee. And because I didn't want to be the only one who wasn't doing what everybody else was doing, I naturally agreed to a hot brew. I saw everyone was adding a bunch of sugar into their cup, and they were also encouraging me to do the same thing, to make it more palatable. So I gladly dumped in a couple of spoonfuls and took a sip. And oh my goodness, it tasted awful. It was the most horrible mix of bitterness and sickly sweet concoction that truly left me scarred for life. Clearly, this grown up sophistication was not my jam. And from that moment on, coffee was off the list for years. Sure, every once in a while I would reluctantly have a sip if I was at someone's house and coffee was served to me, but, because I just didn't want to be rude. But my mind was made up. Coffee was definitely not for me. And that's how much that first impression had an impact on me. In fact, it stuck so strongly with me that it took decades before I was willing to give coffee another real chance. And what made me reconsider was hearing about the health benefits of what's called bulletproof coffee. At that point in my life, I'm still am, working hard at slowing down the aging process as much as possible. And I realized the core health and performance benefits were worth facing that coffee demon of mine. So I gave it another try. And if you've never heard of it before, bulletproof coffee is a blend of butter and MCT oil. And I also put in a pinch of cayenne pepper and some salt, just for good measure. With it all frothed up, it was a bit more tolerable. And honestly, the reason behind trying it mattered more than the coffee itself. I was open to it because there was now a stronger reason to reconsider the impression I had formed all those years ago. And that is what I want to talk about today. Not coffee, but first impressions, because a first impression is very powerful. And in business, they can happen faster than we realize. When you think about all of the touch points a potential client has with your brand, like, when they land on your website or read a social media post or open your newsletter or watch a reel like this one, they are immediately forming an opinion. They are looking for trust signals and reasons to stick around and pay more attention. Most of the time, this all happens at a subconscious level. Their brain is quickly assessing multiple factors to help them determine if they should keep scrolling or not. And this is where AI generated content can become a real problem. Before I explain why, I want to be clear that I am not against AI. My team and I use AI every day. We use it to help with ideation, organizing ideas, analyzing data, repurposing content, and even pulling out all the information that I gather when I consult with clients into a nice, neat summary. AI has become a very valuable assistant in my business. And when it is used properly, it can be incredibly helpful. But that is the key point I want to make here. Used properly. What concerns me is how many business owners are using AI to do the thinking for them. They're asking it to write their posts and their emails and their website copy and their articles and their promotional content, and then publishing what comes out with very little editing, very little discernment, and very little connection to their own actual voice. When AI first appeared on the scene, the signs, were somewhat very evident. It was very obvious because there was M dashes everywhere and excessive emojis were a telltale sign. Now it's becoming more subtle. So subtle that I suspect many business owners aren't aware of these, what I call AI isms. Isms like the repeated sentence rhythm and the broad statements that sound polished and cool, that have very little meaning behind them. I see the same phrases showing up everywhere, like, "You're not broken." Oh my gosh, that style of messaging just drives me nuts. If I see it one more time, I mean, but seriously, once you start noticing these telltale signs, you cannot unsee them. And I see it all the time now. And I have to admit, when I see content like that, to me, when it's obviously AI written, my gut reaction is to write that person off a bit. Their authority on the subject that they're talking about has reduced because I no longer trust whether those are really their thoughts or just a bot's. Is it really their expertise or is it just what ChatGPT came up with? Now, is that fair? No, not at all, because I have been guilty of doing this too. It wasn't that long ago when I let AI write too much for me before I fully understood what it was doing to my own brand positioning. I mean, it sounded so amazing. The phrasing sounded perfect and rhythmic. And I truly thought this was the best thing ever because it made me sound so polished, way better than what I could ever write. You might relate to that too. The thing is, AI is not a human. Even though it can talk to us as if it is, it's missing a critical factor that I soon came to realize: my humanness, my voice, my style of phrasing, my personality, the way I see a problem, the natural way I explain things, and my lived experience. This is important because when your messaging starts to sound generic and vague and lacking your personality, you start losing the very thing that makes people trust you. Whether you realize it or not, your business is built on trust. People are not just randomly deciding whether to work with you. They are analyzing all the trust signals that are helping them decide whether you are the best choice to work with, whether you are the one to guide them and advise them and support them and, treat them and coach them and consult with them, all of those things. At the end of the day, you're helping them solve a problem or a challenge that they are experiencing. So when your marketing is full of AI isms, it can create a big disconnect with your audience. I mean, just think about it. Your marketing message may literally be teaching people to not trust you. I know that might sound harsh, but it needs to be said. Because if someone's first impression of your business is from content that was obviously created by AI, you've lost some of that very valuable trust. And they could simply move on. And you may never know that that trust was ever lost. That is what makes working with AI so important to understand. For me, I knew exactly why I avoided coffee. I had one bad experience with it and I never forgot it. Your audience may not be able to explain why your message is not resonating with them. Some may not even realize or say it to themselves. This is something that sounds or looks like AI. Maybe, they don't even know that something feels off, but they are having a visceral reaction that they will not ignore. And once that first impression forms, it can take a lot of work to change it. So what do you do instead? Like I mentioned, I'm not anti-AI. It's a valuable tool that I encourage you to use. But first, stop treating AI as if it's the expert. Let AI support your thinking, but never replace it. Remember that you are the one with the experience, the one who has directly worked with clients and seen firsthand what they are going through and picked up all of the subtle nuances that you noticed over time. You are the one who knows what people most misunderstand about your profession and what makes them hesitate and what questions that they typically ask and what they need to hear before they can make a decision to actually hire you. Secondly, train AI properly before expecting it to write anything that the public will read. And I mean, really train it, not just write this in a warm and professional tone. That's nowhere near enough. AI needs to know all about you, everything from your voice to your values to your stories and your beliefs. It needs to be trained on your point of view and what words and phrases you typically use. And of course, who your ideal client avatar is. Which leads me to the most important thing, which is the thirdly, edit, edit, edit. Even when you have given it loads of instructions, what to do and what not to do, and provided it with all of what makes you human, you still have to edit and rework what AI produces to make it sound more genuine and less polished, more like you and less like AI. So it's not enough to just scan through the AI generated content to see if this sounds good enough. What you need to do is ask yourself if this is truly something that you would write, or if it's maybe something you would love to be able to have written. Is it specific enough to your expertise and the people that you serve, or is it generalizing way too much? Is any of your real experience infused into it, or is it all quite bland? I could go on, but I hope that you understand what I'm getting at here. Don't take what AI spits out at face value, because AI can definitely help you write faster. But if your positioning and voice are not clear first, it can also give the wrong first impression. And that can hurt your bottom line. Your audience needs to know there is a real person behind what they are reading or seeing. So go ahead and use AI if it helps you, but don't just hand it over and hand over your brand voice and then walk away feeling good that you got a lot done in a short amount of time. Because the goal with using AI is not to sound like it helped you, right? It's to save you some time and even money, but not if it's at the expense of giving bad first impressions because you used it. And if you're not sure what brand positioning is and whether you need to work on that to ensure that you have a strong foundation to feed into AI and then work from, that is exactly why I created the Brand Clarity and Gap Audit. It will help you take a closer look at where your brand may be unclear, inconsistent, or out of alignment before you create more marketing that may be costing you trust without you even realizing it. You can download it for free at brandclarityaudit.com. Until next time, I'm Susan Friesen, your small business brand positioning strategist, inviting you to stay clear, stay focused, and stand out.